What's up, guys? I don't think it's out of line for me to say that for many of us, we probably started off our watch collecting journey with a Seiko, right? I know for me, my first Seiko was a stainless steel Chronosport 150. It was a quartz movement, and I wore that watch everywhere, to the gym, to go out to the movies, to go to work, wherever. Finally, the little quartz movement in it, gave up on me one day. And that's when I started getting into SKXs, right? First time I got an SKX, I was just blown away, right? It was just the build quality. I can definitely tell that was much more robust, and the dial, and then of course the automatic movement. I started getting into that more. That opened up doors for other avenues for me to take along my watch collecting journey. Today, I want to talk about a watch that's sort of been on my radar and sort of not, and I'll explain because talking, of course, about the MarineMaster 300, and Seiko came out first with a version of it in 2000. It was the SBDX001, but the proportions on that watch or the dimensions on it were just too robust for my wrist. It was more like that watch was like it was going to be like wearing me, right? I'm not going to be wearing that watch, so it's kind of like a watch that I just kind of enjoyed from a distance. And then, of course, they came out with the MM200 reduced, but I was never really a big fan of the 6R movements. And that one, I think, had a 6R15 in it. So then recently, Seiko came out with this version, the SLA079. So that definitely piqued my interest because the proportions seemed more correct. And also, it was now boasting the 8L35 movement in it, right? So I wanted to run a short video on this today just to let you guys know what my experience has been owning this watch now for a little over a month and what it's been on my wrist, how it wears and whatnot, in case you're looking at this watch to purchase it for yourself. I'll put the specs up on the screen in case you want to pause the video and check them out, as well as the side profile dimensions, as I feel this plays a vital role on how the watch wears on your wrist despite the larger, more bold design elements. When I bought my MM300, I knew it wasn't a watch that I exactly needed, but I felt it'd be a good addition to my collection, and I knew that once I bought it, I'd probably slap it on my wrist for maybe a week or two, and until I probably got tired of it and felt I needed to rotate out. After all, I've got Rolexes, Omegas, and Tudors that need attending to. However, the watch has now been on my wrist for at least over a month, and I'm not quite sure when it's coming off. So the casework on the MM300 has a highly polished surface going along the top in an angle, and then also on the side that meets up with a nice strip of brush surface, and then on the bottom there's another highly polished surface. Now this all comes together and marries up into the lugs as a combination of those two finishes, and even under macro, those edges are super sharp. I really see no fault in those edges whatsoever. The lugs on each side of the case swoops down about 17 degrees, which is part of that Seiko magic that we're all used to seeing, sort of like that banana type of design. And this, of course, is what aids with the wearability of the watch on your wrist. Here, I'm just going to place it next to my SKX just for reference. And on paper, the MM300 is a little bit longer than my SKX. However, it doesn't show on my wrist. It actually wears very, very well. Seiko has blessed this watch with their 8L35 movement, and this is a 26 joule movement. It's rated at 15 seconds plus or minus a day, and it is based off the Grand Seiko 9S55 movement. Now, I know I said 15 seconds plus or minus a day, but honestly, this is underrated by Seiko. This is not getting that amount of discrepancy. I've been noticing a good 2 to 3 seconds, and honestly, you're not going to notice it unless you put on a time grapher every single day. It keeps great time, guys. The action on this, also, no surprises. This is not my first 8035 movement, so everything is precise when I'm flipping around the date and the hour and everything. But on the crown, it is a 7mm crown, and I have noticed that on occasion I'll see a little bit of wiggle, or what we call in engineering deflection, and it's quite a bit more than what I'm used to seeing, but so it will make it a little bit difficult at times to screw in the crown. However, since I seldomly do this, it's not really so much of an issue for me. So you're going to get a 120 click rotating bezel, and there isn't a whole lot of feedback from it, but everything lines up. It's very legible. You get a lot of grip from the scallop notches that are on the bezel itself with very little play. It's actually very tight. So the dial does have a texturized finish on it. Kind of reminds me of asphalt, and I like it because when the sun hits it during the course of the day and different angles, it kind of gives me a different color, if you will, on the dial, and it's really pleasing to look at the dial. Very legible, obviously. It's MarineMaster. It's supposed to be legible, and it does not disappoint in that way. I see no issues transitioning from light areas to dark areas to shaded areas. Very legible. The Luma Bright is very strong on these indices. By the way, on the indices, you got a split chevron at the 12 o'clock. You've got rectangular indices at 3, 6, and 9, circular indices throughout the rest of the hour markers, and a date window at the 4:30 position. Probably the only questionable design choice on this dial is the fact that they've got MarineMaster underneath the Seiko logo, but that is what Seiko decided to do. Seiko has equipped the SLA079 with very well proportioned to hour and minute hands, chamfered down the middle, polished on one side and brushed on the other, giving a really cool effect. Finishing off the stack of hands is a loomed second hand with a broad and polished counterbalance. Very well done. On the back, it is a stainless screw down case back, and I like that it has the Seiko wave in the center, but it's polished out, and then the rest of the case back is brushed out. I like the contrast between the two finishes there. And you've got the Seiko insignia, of course, the 8L35 movement insignia on there, 300-meter resist, and the Prospex is also there. Overall, it's just very well done. I think it's very well executed in a very cool case back. All right, so now I want to talk about the only thing I hate about this watch. And to be clear, it's not the watch that I'm complaining about, it's the bracelet and the fact that it does not match up with the design language that I see coming out of the watch. Also, number two, I'm sure this is the first time you've heard this from a YouTuber about a Seiko bracelet, but the bracelet itself, in my opinion, is just hot garbage. The fold over clasp looks okay, but I feel at this price point it should come with micro adjustability on the fly, as well as the scuba link extension at this price point. Again, Seiko should find a way to conceal this mechanism versus having it right there like an eyesore. The bracelet at first glance might look like a 3-link, but it is indeed a 5-link bracelet featuring brushed end links with polished shoulders, brushed center links with polished independent finials at each side of the center link. As we pay attention to the profile of the links, you'll see it's more of a bulbous design versus more like a flat link design, which is why I was alluding to earlier that the bracelet really does not match the design language that I see coming off of the case, which is more angular. The bracelet does have a non-articulating male end link, which this might make it a little bit more difficult for fit and finish on wrists smaller than 6.5 inches versus a bracelet that does have an articulating female end link. The links are secured together with pin and collar systems, which I know in some videos that I've seen before I purchased this watch, a lot of YouTubers complain about this, but really, honestly, for me, it's super easy to work with. And once it's in there, once you got the collar in there and the pin in there, it's really extra secure. So for me, I'm okay with it. The only other negative part I'll say about the bracelet, as we all probably know this, Seikos are not known for making the quietest bracelets, right? There is a lot of noise, a lot of jingle noise that comes out of this bracelet, so it kind of reminds me of a tambourine, but this doesn't surprise me. It's a Seiko and I've had many of them. Fortunately, there is a solution for this. So I took off the bracelet and tried to match up the watch first with an accordion type diver's rubber strap that I had, but I didn't like the way it looked or felt. Then I found this very cheap Waffle Strap on Amazon, and I paid $10 for it, and wow, what a difference it made, not only on the wearability but also, in my opinion, the looks. It just seems to complement each other now. The watch with the Waffle Strap, it just seems like a much better pairing. But I also have a Zulu diver that I've got on order. It's Tsunami Tropic Black Abyss with the deployant, and once that one comes in, I'm still waiting for that one to come in, but once it does come in, I'm going to upload a short video on it just to give everybody an idea of what that looks like. This right now, this $10 strap, it's just a temporary solution, but albeit I think it's a lot more tasteful than the original OEM bracelet that the watch comes with. Alright guys, so I thought I'd end the video a little bit differently than I typically do, because the Zulu diver that I alluded to earlier in the video that was on the way in actually came in today, you know. So these videos take me like a couple weeks to complete. I just do them in the evening and in the weekends as time permits. And so the the strap came in today, and it's great. It is awesome, awesome quality here. It's got the deployable clasp, of course, double pusher, nicely done. I have no issues. I think I kind of miss the and I by the way, I'm not compensated anyway by Zulu Diver. I just like the product, so I'm going to talk about it, right? I do kind of miss the waffle strap. That angular design on the waffle strap, I think, complements the watch a little bit better. This one is very good quality though, so I think I'll just leave it on there for now. And now, closing thoughts, right? Seiko MarineMaster SLA079. This is a fun watch. It is absolutely, a joy to look at. It's got some very rich design to it. It is well built. Of course, it's a dive watch. It's going to have that robust constructability that you look for in a dive watch. And I like it because, personally, I like it because it's stealthy, right? It's just a Seiko. 95% of anyone walking down the street that knows anything about Rolex or Omega or anything, they're not going to know what this is either. 95% of them. Only you are going to know what you have on your wrist, right? Now, the price, 2,900, right? That is a lot of money for a Seiko, right? We're not even talking about Grand Seiko. This is just a Seiko. And there's a lot of options to be had at that price point, in that price range or tier. But bear in mind that you're not going to pay 2,900 unless you want to pay 2,900. Then I'm sure you can find a dealer that'll charge you 2,900. I'm sure, for sure, right? Maybe even more. But if you're of sound mind and body, and you ask your AD, okay, ask and you shall receive, and ask nicely, and you shall receive a discount. And I'll tell you what I paid. I paid 22 and a quarter out the door, so that means almost $700 off list. That is a lot of value for a piece like this. I feel like if you're someone who is just looking for the one watch to have, that's a dive watch and it's going to be robust and last you a really long time, and your budget is right there around 2,000-ish dollars, this should probably be something that you should consider. And again, also, if you are a collector of Seiko, specifically Seiko dive watches, this should definitely, in my opinion, be at the top of your list to add to your collection. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you've made it this far, feel free to like and subscribe. It always helps me and helps the channel to bring you better content, more quality videography and photography. Also, leave your comments and suggestions down below. I always read them and I always try to get back to you and respond to you. And also, that helps the channel as well. So with that said, I think I'm done here, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.